Hello everybody and welcome back to Expert Examiner IELTS. My name is Glyn and in this video we're going to do another writing check. This time again we have a writing task 2, academic essay, and we start as always by reading the question, rereading the question, analysing the question, understanding what the question demands from us, understanding what question type we are faced with, and also thinking a little bit about structure. So let's have a look at this question. Many individuals who have been incarcerated. Many individuals who have been incarcerated. Now, usually, so incarcerated is a difficult word for anyone under C1, I think, to understand. I think most B2 students will not understand incarcerated. Immediately, this flags for me as being not a real IELTS question. Because it's a multi-level test, right? The test should be appropriate for A2s, B1s, B2s, C1s, C2s. Probably not A1s. But we want an A2 at least to be able to understand the question. And certainly we want B1 candidates to understand the question. And unfortunately, let's look at this question. Many individuals who have been incarcerated. So incarcerated means sent to prison. Who've been incarcerated face challenges in reintegrating into society. I don't know if most B1 students will understand what it means to face challenges in reintegrating into society. This wording is above the level of the test. Now, if this was like CPE or perhaps CAE, like Cambridge Proficiency, Cambridge Advanced, you could expect to see this. We would certainly not expect this in Cambridge First, and I really don't think it would be in IELTS. I could be wrong, but I really don't think so. The question is just too difficult. So let's explain the question. Many individuals, so many people who have been incarcerated, so people, who served time in prison, people who were sent or had been sent to prison, they face challenges, so it's difficult for them in reintegrating into society. So reintegrating into society means, living like a normal citizen, getting a job, getting a place to live, having a social life, making friends, feeling part of the community. All of those things include reintegrating into society after their release, leading some to reoffend. Potentially that's a cause. So they can't reintegrate. They can't become part of society again, and so they reoffend. I mean, maybe, but I don't think that's an IELTS question. I'm sorry. Is this a positive or negative development? Well, the fact that we put criminals into, or we put people who've committed crimes into prison, and then when they come out, they can't reintegrate into society, and then they reoffend. Reoffend means they commit more crimes. Is this a positive or negative development? How could this possibly be a positive or negative development? There's no debate there. I don't think there are people in the world who think, actually, I think it's a great idea that people, when they come out of prison, they commit more crimes. This couldn't possibly be seen as a positive. This couldn't reasonably be seen as a positive development. So that's a very strange question, first of all. And then what measures should be implemented to address this issue? The fact that you recognize that it's an issue, synonym problem, means that it can't be a positive development. Problems, by definition, can't be positive developments, at least in, outside the world of philosophy. Okay, so an odd question, to say the least. So the structure kind of writes itself, I guess. You want some background information about, criminals or people who are sent to prison or people coming out of prison or reoffending or something like this, or integration into society. Some background information, some reference to the question, but to make a reference to that question, you'd probably need to set it up like there are those who believe that it's this is a good thing, while others claim that it's a negative thing, or there is much debate over whether this is to the benefit of society, but there really isn't that debate. So it'll be difficult to refer to the question here. Referring to the question of like what measures should be implemented, fine. And so you could simply say in this essay, I will explain why or explain the negative effects of this and also suggest solutions for this problem. That's fine. So yeah, some thesis statement is definitely important here. Your candidate needs to say what they're going to talk about in this essay. I'd really like to see that. But first point to make is that this question is a dubious question. It is not a real IELTS question. Now, on this channel in the past, I have said about an essay question, this is not a real IELTS question, and it really was a real IELTS question. So just because I am expert examiner IELTS, I am not right about everything. I could be wrong with my marking. I could be wrong with my evaluation of some things. It happens. But I am ready. I am not a betting person anymore, but I am ready to bet a lot of money that this is not a real IELTS question. But let's forget about that. Let's move on and let's check out the candidate's writing. So, life after prison can be daunting. True. Not only is the public becoming less empathic. Okay, I don't know why continuous is used here. I like the inversion, not only plus inverted clause, right? I'm a big fan of inversion, and that's good. So we get this not only clause, but I wouldn't use is the public becoming. Not only does the public become. We're talking about situations in general, and so present simple is more suitable here. Not only does the public become less empathic. Empathic is fine. There are two words, empathic and empathetic. Both of them mean exactly the same thing. As I understand, empathic is just like a little bit older than empathetic, but empathetic is more widely used, at least in British English. We don't use empathic, but as I remember looking this up before, empathic is a word. Fine. Not only does the public become less empathic, but it is also more judging. Maybe it also just for consistency, maybe it also becomes. But okay, it is also more not judging but judgmental. Critical, judgmental. But it is also more judgmental towards ex-offenders nowadays. Okay, I'm just a little bit confused with the time here. Not only not only does the public become, but why become? Become from, maybe not only is the public less empathic, but it is also more judgmental. So maybe we just replace this become. Not only is the public less empathic, but it is also more judgmental towards ex-offenders nowadays. And I think that's better. But okay. This is an unfavorable trend, so we're kind of answering that question. Unfavorable, good. American English spelling, that's okay. This is an unfavorable trend, and this essay will explore the dysfunctional relationship between discontinued rehabilitation and recidivism. Candidate really showing off some language before proposing some solutions. Okay, cool. So we get a nice thesis statement saying what the candidate is going to talk about. Language is slightly heightened here. I mean, it's okay. It's an academic essay. Maybe it's a little heightened. Dysfunctional relationship between discontinued rehabilitation. Certainly a target reader may not exactly know what discontinued rehabilitation is, because it's a very specific thing, and recidivism, a very specific topic and a very specific question and a very specific, I could imagine this as an actual university question. So it seems like a higher level than IELTS. Okay, but so comments on the introduction. Very, very high level of vocab. That's immediately clear. Just a little bit of an issue with this, inversion thing. Present simple should be used. Judging, not judging, but judgmental. But okay, but we get a bit of background information, and we get a thesis statement. We know what the candidate is going to talk about in this question. The next thing we should get is why this is an unfavorable development, why this is a negative development. To begin with, this stigma, which stigma? The judgment towards ex-offenders, maybe? But this stigma feels like a little bit of an ambiguous reference. So once you use the word this, it should point to something that you've just mentioned. And I'm looking and I'm thinking, which stigma? Did I miss something? I don't remember the candidate mentioning stigma. So it's a little bit confusing. To begin with, this stigma is a symptom, you could say the stigma around something is a symptom of a broken justice system. Okay, it feels a little bit judgmental, a little bit opinionated here, just a little bit. To begin with, this stigma is a symptom of a broken justice system, comma, good, where a society unknowingly perpetuates crimes. Okay, but I want an explanation of why it is bad that, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but that's what the question demands. Why is it bad that ex-criminals, ex-convicts reoffend? Why is that a bad thing? You're saying it's a symptom of a broken justice system, fine. The society unknowingly perpetuates crimes, fine. Why is that a bad thing? You've said, the question asks, is it positive or negative? And so you need to explain why it's negative. This undermines the core essence of a justice system. A justice system is okay here. That's fine. Core essence of a justice system, comma, which is to reform and rehabilitate individuals for a dignified life. Agree. However, comma, good, one must ask, cool. I don't like this direct speech here. I just don't like it in academic essays. Try to embed the question, right? However, one must ask what the point of reformation is, right? Embed that question. Don't use it as direct speech. It's a little bit strange in an academic essay to use this. Sometimes it is acceptable, but just a little bit dodgy. One must ask what the point of reformation is if, after incarceration, one remains deprived of opportunities to do well. When an ex-offender faces discrimination, rejection, and unemployment, there is a higher chance to recommit crimes. Okay, but you're making the argument that is already made here. They've already made that argument that when they can't reintegrate into society, they commit more crimes. And now you're saying, yeah, when they face discrimination, rejection, and unemployment, there's a higher chance to recommit crimes. But that's not what the question asks you to do. The question asks you if this is a positive or a negative development. So you have to say, this is why the question is strange. You have to say whether you think it is a good thing that criminals reoffend, or if it's a bad thing that criminals reoffend, and explain why. And unfortunately, you haven't done that in this body paragraph. Okay, body paragraph 2, the measures. What can we do or what can be done to stop criminals, ex-convicts from reoffending, from committing more crimes? Well, we get that. In order to prevent recidivism, a concerted effort, love this concerted effort. I haven't highlighted all of the good vocab. There's a lot of very, very, very good vocab here. In order to prevent recidivism, a concerted effort among citizens and the government is necessary. Agree. Great topic sentence. We can build from this. We can build by talking about what the government can do, what the citizens can do. Great. Firstly, local officials. So just, again, I'm nitpicking here, but if you start with citizens and then talk about government, I would like firstly what citizens can do. I just think that flows better. Local officials sounds to me like government. But okay, firstly, local officials can initiate. Yeah, local officials. Do you mean public servants here? Do you mean people who work for like local government or something? Or citizens? Anyway, let's read. Let's read the whole paragraph first before making any judgments. Firstly, good signposting language. Local officials can initiate sports events and municipal cleanups to foster inclusivity. Okay, that needs to be explained. It isn't enough. How do sports events and municipal cleanups foster inclusivity? Usually when I see the word foster, and this isn't a judgment on the candidate, when I see the word foster, I think ChatGPT. Because foster is one of ChatGPT's favourite words. But this text doesn't look like a ChatGPT text. Okay, foster inclusivity. Absolutely love the vocab again. Top notch for vocab. Absolutely top notch. Were these events implemented, ex-offenders could build friendships and gain a sense of belonging. Okay, I like the hedging language could, and that does explain somehow. It seems a little bit basic. Like, I would prefer like local officials can initiate social events such as sports events and municipal cleanups. Because then what you're saying is social events give people the opportunity to build friendships. But the candidate here is saying like specifically sport events and municipal cleanups. Whereas these should be like examples of the broader category of social events. So yeah, I would just prefer, firstly, local officials can initiate social events such as sports events and municipal cleanups, or for instance, sports events and municipal cleanups. But okay. Were these events implemented? Good. Conditional language here. Nice, great flexibility. Not even using if, using an inverted clause with were. Cool. Were these events implemented? Ex-offenders could, and maybe a bit more hedging, could possibly or would have the chance to. That might be a little bit better with hedging. Could build friendships and gain a sense of belonging. Great vocab again. Gain a sense of belonging. I already know that the candidate is going to get band 9 for vocab. Furthermore, good signposting language. Individuals. So now we're getting to those citizens. Cool. Still think the order is a little bit wrong. You know, a concerted effort among the government and citizens might be better just for the order. But okay. Furthermore, individuals should avoid disparaging comments. Agree. While many jokes, good use of while, cool, good subordination with clauses here. While many jokes often seem innocuous, beautiful, beautiful, beautifully controlled. Comma, they are sometimes riddled with just seems a little bit inappropriate for academic. You know, academic language is often quite mechanical and stuffy. They sometimes include, or they riddled with just feels, yeah, too idiomatic, too colloquial. They are sometimes riddled with discriminatory undertones. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Comma, and that can debilitate a reformed individual. Yeah, it might be a stretch, just the jokes. I would focus, you know, if I'm thinking what can citizens do to help ex-convicts reintegrate into society, I don't know if the most obvious example I would go to is, well, they could avoid making jokes. To me, that isn't like the critical thing that they could do. I don't know. Um, okay, fine. Oh, this paragraph now is getting on to be a little bit long. Finally, I think we could have just ended it there. How many words do we have in total? This feels long. This feels like we're going at 380, something like this. Oh, 299. Huh. Never mind. That's really just 299? Yep, okay, I take it all back. Maybe it isn't going long. Finally, the government must legislate programs. Okay. So it's strange. Government, so citizens and government, but then we get local officials, then citizens, individuals, and then we come back to the government. But so the order is just a little bit strange. The government must legislate programs, American spelling, fine, extending reformation through vocational courses, therapy sessions, and job placement assistance. All good ideas. These examples serve as an assurance. An assurance is fine here. Usually assurance, yeah, often it's uncountable, but it's fine to use it as a countable noun. Serve as an assurance that the justice system is not a vessel for revenge. Again, I feel like it's too much from the person, too much from the individual here. It sounds a little bit like an anti-establishment, an anti-government person who's like angry at the justice system. It just feels a little bit, you know, a little bit spiteful. Is that the right word? Or a little bit, I don't know, emotional, just slightly. but one that actualizes peaceful reintegration. Okay, cool. I think those solutions are wonderful solutions. Cool. Maybe this, I know it's difficult to go into because you're trying to do a lot in this paragraph, but if I'm overly pedantic, how would vocational courses help? Through vocational courses, and I would just go with two, through vocational courses which can help get ex-convicts back into employment, and therapy sessions in order to assist the former criminals with the psychological difficulties of re-entering society. Yeah, and that then explains why the vocational courses are useful and why the therapy sessions are useful. At the moment, you've just put them there and assumed that the target reader will work out for themselves why they're useful. You've said that they're useful here, but you haven't really explained why they're useful. But again, you are limited with space, and that's why, talking about 3 different solutions, and even within that last solution for the government, you have 3 more solutions. So in total, you have a number of solutions. So the first one we have is to set up social events. That's number 1. The second one we have is to avoid jokes, number 2. Vocational courses, number 3. Therapy sessions, number 4. And job placement assistance, number 5. So you have too many solutions there. 2 solutions are plenty, and explain how they could be useful. In conclusion, no good intention from any justice system shall materialize. I like this use of shall. It adds a kind of academic weight to it. No good intention from any justice system shall materialize without, I wouldn't use it in speech, but in academic writing it's fine, shall materialize without mobilizing the community. But it seems like you're focused on solutions here. And again, we should, in our conclusion, make a reference both to the fact that this is a negative development and why, and the solutions. But okay, in conclusion, no good intention from any justice system shall materialize without mobilizing the community. Agreed. Instead of limited opportunities and discrimination, ex-offenders should experience a kinder language, an inclusive society, and various government programs dedicated to second chances at life. Second chances at life, second chances in life, I guess they're both okay here. They often say, oh, I don't like this they. It is often said is better. So they often say is like an informal way of avoiding passive. We can use the passive here. It is often said plus that plus clause. We don't need these. Again, we don't need these speech marks. It is often said that it takes a village to raise a child. Okay, but again, you're using a like cutesy quote here, or a cutesy expression, and I don't know if that's really suitable. I would prefer a more academic, colder approach. Like, it is often said that a variety of people are required to ensure that a child experiences everything that they must, or something like this. But okay, they often say it takes a village to raise a child. Semicolon. Nice. Today, comma, I see no reason. Okay, a bit of personal language in the conclusion is a nice touch. I like this reflective comment. I see no reason why that village would fail in rebuilding human dignity. Okay, it's a little bit emotive, a little bit strong. Oh. Okay, I don't think it's very difficult to mark this because there's just one problem, and that's the task response. So I'm going to give the task response as a 6. And that's the only weak point. I'm going to give the grammatical range and accuracy. Ooh, sorry about that. Is there? Yeah, I think grammatical range and accuracy. I think we can award the 9. Yeah, we have like one tiny little error at the beginning, and then coherence and sorry, we missed one. Coherence and cohesion. So I want to award the 9 just because the signposting language is so good, but there is this strange referent here, this stigma. So let's look at the positives first. Great paragraph structure. There is a good flow. However, this stigma, this is a little bit of an ambiguous reference. It's not immediately clear which stigma you're talking about. And also, I'm not a huge fan of the not a huge fan of the way that this was ordered with the measures among citizens and the government, and then you talk about local officials. So for me, that was just a little bit off. Now, it seems very pedantic, but I think I'm going to drop the coherence and cohesion to an 8, although there were lots of good stuff. The signposting language is absolutely fantastic. And, you know, you should not be disappointed with an 8 by any means. There is enough grammatical resource, grammatical range and accuracy for a 9, and enough lexical resource also for a 9. There is that very strange use of judging there. Maybe riddled with is a little bit inappropriate. Not a vessel for revenge, just slightly. And maybe it takes a couple of uses of those quotes. Maybe that's enough for me to drop it to an 8. This idea of academic style, where does that come in? And for me, largely it comes in lexical resource. Maybe I'll just drop that lexical resource to an 8. Yeah, it's... No, I think there's enough lexical resource for a 9. If I'm marking it positively, I have to say there is enough good resource in there for a 9. Despite a couple of minor issues, I think we can award the 9 for it. Okay, so that gives us, I think, a total of band 8 for this, 8.0. Am I right with this? So 9988 would be 8.5, which means 9987 would be 8.25, right? 9986 is 8.0. Okay, so overall 8.0. Candidate is definitely a C2 language user, no doubt about it. This candidate has amazing English. However, there is, I believe, because the question is so strange, that negatively affects the task response. The problem with the task response is the candidate doesn't explain why this is a negative development. The candidate says that it's a negative development and explains why people continue to recommit, but that's not in doubt here. Leading some to reoffend, that's taken as a given. The task is to explain whether this is a positive or negative development and then to offer solutions. So, a couple of problems with the task response. Firstly, it isn't explained why this is a negative development. And for me, secondly, there are just too many solutions, and that means that we can't fully develop all of our ideas. So for me, band 8, candidate is a very, very, very strong language user, but could do with some improvement in their technique, and also should choose their academic IELTS questions more carefully and read the questions very carefully to understand exactly what should be done. But, you know, a very impressive bit of writing overall. Good job. All right, so I think I will leave that there. If you have any comments about this feedback, then, you know, feel free to tell me why I'm wrong in the comments below. Also, if you would like me to check your writing, or if you would like a free IELTS speaking test with feedback, then you can apply for this through my Telegram channel. A link to my Telegram channel is given in the description below. But for now, I'll leave it there. Thank you very much and see you again. Bye-bye.